Good afternoon, I'm Joe Sweeney and welcome to your Solent Sports News Bulletin. Following Alan Shearer's recent documentary on dementia, more steps are being taken to understand head injuries in football and other sports. The FA are to lead research into head injuries as they seek to understand more about head injuries in football. I'm here with Joel Newman as we seek to understand more about injuries within sport and within football. And Joel, if I can ask you, we understand now with the NFL, with rugby, that in recent years there have been, shall we say, shortcuts or even nothing been taken to understand more about injuries in sport, head injuries in rugby and so on. What do you think the FA could potentially learn from new studies into dementia?
Well, they're doing. They've been doing 2 years of research with along with the PFA, and they've now confirmed that they're going to be doing more studies into the effects of participation in head injuries. It's an independent research study into the incidence of degenerative neurocognitive disease in ex-professional footballers. It starts the beginning of next year, so we'll understand the effects of it. We won't see for now, but in the long term, hopefully, it will actually have an effect, and we'll be able to understand what the actual effects are.
And in recent years, it's become more widespread. In recent years, it's become more widespread, the understanding of injuries within sports like rugby and American football. How do you think this can carry over to football with regards to heading the ball, potentially being kicked in the head, players being left on when they perhaps shouldn't be?
Well, obviously, we look at rugby and there's the concussion rule, so players have to be taken off. And we're seeing now that football are taking more of a... It's being seen as more... There's a bit more care taken, so any kind of head injury, you're taken off immediately. So I think we'll see that grow over the next few years, and potentially I think rugby have head scanners available immediately if need be. So I think that could be a step that football takes, and we'll see that coming, especially in the Premier League, and hopefully dropping down to into the lower leagues.
And it's been an area of neglect for very heavy physical contact sports such as rugby and American football in recent years. And of course, there's been lawsuits and so on. Why do you think these sports have been so negligent in areas where you imagine it should be obvious that there is such a danger?
I'm not sure you could call it negligence. I think it's just a lack of understanding. I think it's not an area that's really been prominent for many years. There's not been too much known about it. I think you look at what happened with Jeff Astle, and since he died in 2001, I think that's when sports are starting to really get an understanding of how heading a ball can have an impact on you, and we're starting to see that now.
Do you think that perhaps more fundraising or more events such as charity games like we see for soccer and so on could help in the area of head injuries perhaps?
I think so. I think it'll take time. I think we won't see things happening straight away, but I think in the long term you'll see events like that start to take place that will. And I think, especially with Alan Shearer's documentary, I think more is being made, and there's more progress will start to be made in the next few years.
And regarding the documentary, it certainly helped increase the visibility of head injuries and particularly dementia within football, even for younger viewers when they're growing up, because we hear about things like should kids be allowed to head the ball and so on. Do you think that, for example, kids not being allowed to head the ball, for example, is a positive step?
I'm not 100% sure on that, because I think it would change the way that kids play football. I think heading the ball is something that you grow up with. I think it's a major part of playing football. So I think there has to be definite research and definite answers before something like that can be fully put into place.
Okay, thank you for your time, Joel. Very good to have you.
Thank you.
On to Rugby League now, and at the Rugby League World Cup, the home side are in major celebrations following an emphatic win. Valentine Holmes scored a record 6 tries in the 54-6 victory to give the Wallabies their 14th World Cup final appearance. England will play for the right to face Australia in Saturday's other semi-final against Tonga. A former South African Paralympic gold medalist has had his criminal punishment increased. Prosecutors at the Supreme Court of Appeal in Bloemfontein argued that the original 6-year term for Oscar Pistorius was too lenient, and resulting in the athlete receiving 13 years and 5 months behind bars. Pistorius will now serve 15 years in total in prison, the minimum tariff for murder in South Africa. In cricket, it is all to play for after 2 days of action at the Ashes. The Australian captain Steve Smith made an unbeaten 64 to lead his side to 165-4. An impressive recovery as the home side had stood at 76-4. The Ashes resumes tonight with day 3 of the action. England bowler Jake Bell believes the side are in a good position after the first 2 tests.
We feel we're in a decent position. Get a good night's sleep and a bit of rest and come out hard in the morning. If we nick a couple out and then you're into likes of Stark and Cummins, I think that's a good position for us to be in.
In football, Mauricio Pellegrino believes Southampton can recover from his side's poor campaign so far. The Saints will hope to recover after recent defeats to Premier League sides Liverpool and Burnley. Pellegrino has said he has not felt pressure, but recent history suggests that he and other managers are very much feeling it.
You like the speculation? Continue in your way. I don't talk nothing more about this because sometimes I talk and after you go in the other way, I don't give one more word about this situation for you.
I'm not scared about my job. I am scared about a lot of things, not about my job.
Play on Sunday, on Wednesday, on Saturday, you know.
He finishes his contract, he has the right to decide his future.
Goals are great, and of course, ultimately as the season ends, I think strikers will be judged on that, but it's all about how the team functions. Certainly the team didn't function as well as it can do early in the season for a number of reasons.
Trust him 100%, so we know how we came into situations. That's what we have to change.
I really hope not, and I'd love to think that every single player is hurting the way I am at the moment. If they're not hurting the way I am, they shouldn't be here.
We've got fixtures coming up which are going to be much more difficult, albeit I've got to say Leicester City is a really difficult fixture as well. The winning's the thing that changes a lot. The thing that changes how your week looks, it changes how you go about your work.
There's certain things I'm not in control of. They're the things that I choose to not pay much attention to.
West Ham's fans want a reaction. We know this team at home.
It's about instant success, and it's about the real fear of dropping out of this division, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing.
The penalty was given. We did lose points as a result of it, and the FA have seen fit to punish him because they obviously don't want it to happen to other teams.
The second time was positive. You feel a bit of afraid. You are a bit scared.
You cannot guess what is going to happen in the future, and with myself the same.
It has been a week of reflection for both Premier League fans and clubs as they digest the latest findings into the price of modern day football. The BBC's annual Price of Football survey has had a number of interesting findings, including the discovery that many fans have been seeing more of their local sides in action. In an attempt to discover why this has been the case, Alex Watson has had a few words to say in his position as the head of hospitality at Liverpool.
Getting so many people coming out from your Norways and families who are purely coming for like a weekend away, as opposed to you working class people who'd go shout and actually, do you know what I mean, make a day of it. But no, the prices are going to keep going up, I think, and I don't know when they're going to cap.
Having had their transfer embargo recently lifted, Gosport Borough are on the march off the bottom of the Evo Stik Southern League. With their first league win in the bag, new signings are revelling in the challenge.
It didn't faze me at all, the position Gosport are in. It's a club that's close to my heart and a club I never want to see relegated, which is the situation at the moment. No one can shy away from that. So yeah, relish the challenge. Come here and try and help out.
Time for Formula 1 now, and the second practice session is underway at the season-ending Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton is top of the session with over 30 minutes remaining. The race is the last of the season, which has seen Lewis Hamilton win his 4th world title after a long season-long battle with Sebastian Vettel. In tennis news now, and there has been recent potential new competition coming around. The Premier League of Tennis is a new potential competition which aims to put the top players in the sports against each other. There have been a number of ideas bandied about, and this is the one which potentially... That's all we have time for. Thank you, Southern Sports News. We'll see you at 4 p.m.